All right. And welcome to Assets and Algorithms, the show where we explore the intersection of real estate and technology. Today I have my guest, Jonathan Willett, from 4 Points Development. Thanks for joining me, man.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm excited about this episode to jump into a little bit about what's going on in the development space with technology. So I'd like to start just by asking you to share a bit about your role at 4 Points and how it connects to the company's broader mission.
Okay. So I would be the developer in the company, a development partner. So I'm leading the company with strategy and where we're going to go. I handle a lot of the sales or at least the upfront part, and then just kind of oversee the team as they're going through each project or development.
Awesome, awesome. Sounds like you play a really integral role in pushing the mission forward. So tell me, what does a typical day look like for you? You know, balancing the projects and building those partnerships. What does that look like?
Well, development depends on the market, right? There's times that you don't have enough time in the day, and there's times you're trying to find things to do, right? So we've always believed there's profit in every market. You just have to find it. So it never seems like you're stop. You're digging for more business, or you're working on what you have, or a combination of both. So through our day, we have multiple projects that we're getting through the system, right? Whether it's analyzing markets or design, construction, or them moving in, building buildings, or helping them understand, what they have financially in their building, or if they're expanding. So depending on what's going on, would direct what we're doing for the day, and if we've got to go to a zoning meeting or we're working on a design for a vet hospital.
Okay, awesome. So what do you think, or what have you found makes for, best projects when you're looking for the next one to jump into?
Which is a taco place, has a very cool vibe, very cool design. So it's always the development business is hard enough. It's always better if you have something that's maybe a little more fun, maybe a little more complicated. It's hard to get through to where, we can add more value.
Absolutely. I love that, man. Having a good vibe in a project, having a good vibe in your work is something that could definitely make you want to jump out of bed in the morning and get it done.
Keeps the people motivated too, right? So if you're
Absolutely.
working on a bunch of boring things, they get bored.
For sure, for sure. So I think one of the major trending shifts in the industry right now is technology and how different companies are leveraging it to get a leg up. What major shifts would you say you're seeing in the industry, and how are you adapting to those?
Well, in our industry, technology is slow. We still have a lot of mature people in our industry that probably just kind of keep doing it the way they've been doing it. We were the first people to use a 3D printer. We were the first to use Google Suites. But the biggest thing, and I'm not sure who my competitors are, and I talk to a lot of real estate people around town, but AI is absolutely the new. You're pretty young, so I'm not sure if you remember when the internet first came out, but when it came out, it was a game changer. People sat back and were like, I don't know how far this thing can go. We couldn't imagine how big the internet is. We were like, well, you'll be able to talk and you can do some shopping and things, but man, the internet really, really broke things open. And I see the same thing with AI. It's like we're sitting here trying to learn everything we possibly can about it, how it can help our company, because we don't we're small, so the more technology helps us stay small, right? Helps us stay on that cutting edge, helps us stay on that sharpened spear point. And AI is definitely a game changer these days.
I 100% agree with you. I think, to your first point, using 3D printing is revolutionary, right? Like I think that's a major change, especially in development, because it lowers cost, it lowers time, and really revolutionizes that as a whole. But also, AI, like you said, yeah, I think it's going to change the world. It has changed the world in under 5 years, and it'll continue to. Comparing it to the internet, I think is a great analogy. We still have no idea where this can go, but as the technology continues to evolve, how do you see it impacting your business or your growth strategy, your project planning, all of that stuff? How do you see that, manipulating it?
Yeah. Well, with regards to AI, we just hired a consultant to come in and help us understand even more of it. So I've been using it for maybe 6 months, 8 months, I don't know, maybe a year. Ever since COVID, my time continuum is all screwed up. But been
Hmm.
using it for a little while, trying to figure it out. Trying to see what works and doesn't work with AI. But I've used it from everything from helping write a good email through laying out a planned urban development, a PUD that we're going to go in for zoning, to marketing, just with our sales, helping write a sales pitch, what we could put on our website, questions. I have found AI as a great starter. It's a great starter. You can definitely hone it in to what you need, but it still needs a human. It still needs a human. You really can't just print something and send it out, because it's they call it hallucinating. I'm sure you're familiar with that, where it's just the AI lies,
Hmm.
and or doesn't lie, but it just puts out what it thinks. So if you ever saw Star Trek, it's like the Borg. Okay. And the Borg, this is just very much like the Borg. It's like everything around is just feeding into it. So garbage
Hmm.
in, garbage out. So you gotta kind of watch that. But with that, you sit back and you say, we're getting ready to do a proposal, and I'm like, write a proposal for us, blah 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 blah, and it cranks this thing out and probably saves us an hour or two, of writing and working and whatnot. So huge, it helps us a lot.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you're getting a really good use of it. Another great analogy, comparing it to the Borg. Everything is being fed into it. You got to feed it some really good information. But I think the main point around that is that, resistance is futile, right?
Right,
Like,
it is. It is. That's a good point. So you've
yeah,
seen that.
absolutely, absolutely. This
Right,
thing is a freight train, man. You
right.
can't stop it. It's gonna tear through anything in its way. So I love that, man. So it sounds like it's made projects easier for you. It's made the processes easier for you, which is really great. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about what's been working really well for your team, technology wise or otherwise, and when it comes to developing that development, navigating that development pipeline. And talk to me a little bit about what's frustrating when you're trying to bring these projects to life.
So, okay, there's a few things to unpack there. So, for as technology goes, we're all Google Suites. We're all so when I look at it as a company and I'm looking at people and whatnot, I came from a place where we had a big network, we had network people, we had guys, and you can't get mad at an IT guy, you can't fire an IT guy. It's really hard because they control a lot of things that can really screw you up. So as we were building our network, one of the, as good as Google can, right?
Mm.
There's just no way. And I could spend all kinds of money. So they're securing it for us. Our entire business is on, I can run off my phone or off my laptop anywhere. Our clients are everywhere through the country. So we're traveling. I can't be trying to log into a remote system that could be up or down back in Columbus, Ohio, when I'm in Florida or out west or something. We need to have our information at our fingertips to be able to work it at all times. So wherever we're at. So that's important. We really made a conscious decision to stay in the cloud and to have as less machines or whatever you want to call them in the office as possible. So as technology goes, that's that. I think you said something that's frustrating in the market. Is that
Yep.
the next question? So we're also lobbyists. We have to take our customers' vision and work that through the system, right? So as we're taking their vision and working through the system, frustration can start with the customer. They're not totally educated how we do this. We want to educate them to where they understand what the process is on and how we're going to go through navigating the system for them because they think it's going to happen like this, right? And it doesn't. Development takes a while. Getting through zoning takes a while. Just certain things take time. That can be frustrating. Working with the cities and municipalities has gotten better, noticeably gotten better, but that still can be frustrating. Everything's online now, which helps a lot.
Mm.
Whereas 5, 10 years ago, codes and everything wasn't online. You had to talk to somebody and trying to get them to respond. And working through construction always takes a while. Architects take a while, and getting people to respond back to you, right? When you're
Mm,
setting these podcasts up, I'm sure you have the same frustration of guy didn't get back to me, he said it'd be here. So one of our mottos here is you got to get the ball out of your court, okay?
mm,
But you have to get it back in your court.
mm,
That's the part most people forget. They're like, okay, here you go. I just passed that email on. We're good to go. Well, that email is going to sit in this dude's inbox until it's a priority to him,
mhm,
and it's more than likely not a priority to him. He probably has 50 other things in there, the whole deal. So I have to make it a priority to him, right? I've got to get my customers to the front of that line to where we can get that. And so our goal is to go back out and get the ball in our court. So that
mm.
means we're calling them, we're talking to them, we're emailing them, to the point I know our people are working when I get a call and they say, listen, can you have them stop calling me, please? And I'm like, yeah, just answer them. Just answer their question. Let's move on. You won't hear from us. Once we get this building done, you never got to talk to me again. So, so it's so that's important. And it's getting people, even the people we pay. You get an architect or a contractor, and it's like, you were supposed to be at this date. So our job as developers is really keeping people accountable. And you would think you wouldn't have to do that dealing with adults in a professional setting, but you do, and it's something else. I just met with one of our architect firms, and it's funny. I'm sitting there and I met with the owners that I know well, and we were having a little bourbon there. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know, our plans were late because your architect told me that he was working on quarterly reports and couldn't get them done. And I said, there's two things here. Is number one, that's your problem. Work on your own quarterly reports at your own time. And number two, never tell a customer that. Don't
Right.
tell a customer that, hey, you're in second place over our quarterly reports. So they were shocked. They were like, oh, my gosh, So people are people. But that's a big part of our job is holding people accountable and getting it from point A to point B to C to D, E, F, G, all the way through. That's a big part of our business, and it can be frustrating.
Absolutely. Listen, I completely understand. I think that that's definitely one of the most frustrating parts for a lot of people in the real estate business, right? Especially like you said, dealing with different stakeholders and when it comes to working with those government agencies to get plans approved and, those codes and all of that, it could definitely get frustrating. It sounds like you guys have a really good process. And,
Thank
I
you.
think it's one of those things where this is definitely a people business, and you're always going to need people to have that touch point and be able to relate and get things pushed forward. But back to your point again, I think AI can really enhance what those people are able to do to streamline those processes. So I'd love to see how that materializes in the future.
Mm. Yeah, be learning how to use AI because
Absolutely. I 100% agree. So what I'd like to ask you about is metrics, right? You sound like you have a lot of great processes again, and you've been in the business for a while, handling projects. What metrics or milestones are you most focused on improving right now when it comes to your projects or the construction timelines?
well, we're focusing on our sales side of things right now. We're kind of more of business development, but I think you're asking like when it comes to our system, what are we doing to improve it? I think it's always improving. When every deal we do, we there's some little wrinkle, that comes up. There's a zoning issue or there's a neighborhood commission that doesn't like you. There's something that happens and we learn something different on each one of those jobs. We share those with the whole team. We meet once a week and go over every one of our deals on Monday morning, and kind of make sure everybody's up to speed. But probably the number one thing that we can do and we could do better, and I think everybody could do better, and that's communicating with our customer, because a lot can be going on, but you never see it happening. It's a lot of behind the scenes or, a lot of stuff inside the walls that people are just not seeing, just not, understanding. Communicating with our customer is essential to their happiness. When I first got in, I was kind of like, I got it, don't worry about it, I'll call you. but they always remember how you left them feeling. So it's real important. They don't know half. I mean, when we are working with customers, they're like, I didn't realize you did so much, because there's so many little teeny tiny things in development. But they always know if I left them hanging, or I was on top of it, or we were communicating and they got a warm and fuzzy. So I think communication in a long way around is probably the one thing we can always continue to work on and get better at.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Communication is paramount. It's a people business, and you got to communicate well and leave them, with a good thought about you in their mind. So I love that answer. If you look ahead 6 to 12 months, what are the biggest moves you hope 4 Points development will make?
The next, well, sales. We want to get our sales down, get that system rolling. We're trying to connect AI to sales. Right now, all those dots don't connect yet. You don't push a button and leads pop out of it. It's not quite to that level, but we're working on sales, getting a business development person with the AI and the tools up and trained and kind of rolling like that. So, that's internally for 4 Points. As customers go, we have projects, we want to keep those projects rolling, bring new projects in, and build our consultants. We're consultant based. So all of our consultants work. We don't work on a commission, like a development fee. We work by the hour. It is a customer doesn't look and go, well, you want me to do this more expensive deal because you make more. When we're by the hour, it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you which one I think is good, A or B. And here's why. You can choose which one you want. I'm just telling you what I think as a professional. And when we made that switch from taking a development fee of 6%, no matter what the cost, to an hourly rate, it was like we moved into their lawyer or accountant kind of level where they know we're not doing this just to juice the price and get more. So we're building our consultants. I want to build with sales come deals that come consultants. And I want to build those consultants to, just more consultants that come in that have a real estate background, or they have some sort of something that kind of attaches to real estate to where we can have a benefit for our customers.
Sounds great, man. I think, sales are the lifeblood of any business, and being able to strengthen that will help you stand out in the marketplace for sure. So, I appreciate you joining. I have one more question for you. If you could wave a magic wand and remove one major bottleneck from your world today, whether that be regulatory, financial, operational, sales, what would you choose?
I read that. That's a great question. That's a great question. Here's the thing: regulatory, we're around because of it. It is so difficult these days, and you got to be on top of it. That you need a company like us or a developer or something to help you get through. I mean, you can make it through. You can make it through, but you're going to make your mistakes. It's going to be timing and cash, and you're going to miss things. Tory is something. Financial. It's all about cash. Cash is king. Of course, if I could wave that and we had a pot of money to doing deals, that would probably be one. I'm not sure if that's a bottleneck. Operationally, we're always improving, but operational, I'd say I'm the bottleneck. If I had a magic wand to wave that I could de-bottleneck myself, and that I need to continually get better at delegating and making sure things are going, that would probably be what I do, because I can be the hold up at times, to be
Listen,
quite
man,
honest.
I respect that answer a lot, man. Sometimes we get in our own ways, right?
Yeah, yeah. I get to, I want to make sure it's just exact, and as there's a point where you're like, okay, these people can get this done, and I just need to go on to something else. So you gotta look at yourself. It's real important to be honest and be like, I'm not the be all get all, and where can we improve the company and what can we do? And so, we work with coaching companies that, we get to look at ourselves and, see, am I the problem? Is she the problem? Is he the problem? Or are we the problem together? And you got to look at that to where you know what you can do to improve it. And if not, you're just going to keep going down the same path.
Absolutely. That's paramount to growth. You got to be self-aware and apply those changes that are necessary. I love that, John. So thank you again for joining. I want to give you this opportunity to share where people can meet you, where people can find you, any contact information you want to let the people know about, and any last words.
Yeah, you can hit our website, www.4pointsco.com. So you can hit us there, and My cell phone and everything's on that. You can that's a way to get in touch with us pretty easily. And we're in Dublin, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, but we go everywhere. So with the days of Zoom and Google Meets and all that, it's totally changed. You talk about technology since COVID. This has gotten a lot better with video conferencing. We weren't very good at it before, but we're good at it now. So this changes the game too. So don't want to forget about that. But that's probably the best way to find us all.
Sounds great. Again, I appreciate you joining, and that's another episode of Assets and Algorithms.
All right. Thank you.